Hello everyone, and welcome to this reformedwiki.org tutorial. In this tutorial, we will be going over the basics of how to set up articles on the wiki, how to use the source or visual editor, and how to borrow from Wikipedia, and knowing how and what to reference out to Wikipedia instead of creating articles on this wiki for such things. And in today's example, we are going to create an article for an organization. I'm going to use let.church as an example. My friend Ken Powers has built this platform. It's a Christian media platform that has fully searchable transcripts. So if you wanted to see every instance on here that mentioned grape juice, for example, you could find these things from When We Understand the Text and other channels that have been onboarded. Channels such as Alpha and Omega Ministries, Andrew Rappaport, and many other great channels with such awesome content are on here. And if your church or ministry or podcast would like to get on this platform, it's free compared to other services out there that charge for such, and it also is ad-free, so it sets it apart from the likes of YouTube. So definitely reach out to Ken Powers at lets.church. And I want to create an article on my reformedwiki.org about his platform. So the first thing we will want to do is search for the article to see if it exists. And obviously this page does not exist, so when you search for a page and it doesn't exist, it will give you the option to create that page, and that's what we will do. The other option that you could do is go to, after the wikis, you could type in the URL like that directly, and it will bring you to a blank page where there is no page, and you have to create the source. So the creating the source here will take you to the code or the wiki markup language, and you'd have to know how to do that. There are guides out there on the internet. I will probably try and link one of those in the description, but I'm not going to cover all of the markup language in this tutorial. The other option, which you could do and is probably much more user-friendly, is the visual editor. So in this, it's much more user-friendly. So as you saw before, I was typing and I added those 3 apostrophes. That was part of the markup language to bold this. That's sort of the common thing you want to do when you're doing a wiki article. Is the first beginning when you're mentioning what it is, it's usually bolded, and then it says something to the effect of what it is about, and from there you have all these things up here at the top. You can do, of course, things like underline or italicize or bold without having to know the markup language, and you can also quickly insert the list and tables and even hyperlinks. So if we wanted to hyperlink out let's.church, we could create a hyperlink to an external site, and it does it for us, and we don't have to know the underlying code. So we're just going to go ahead and start with that for now to get it started. When you go to save page, it will bring this text box up. You don't have to type something, but if you did some work on an article that others are working on or going to be working on, it might be a good idea to say what you did in brief. You don't have to. But in this instance, we are just going to say created the page. The other option you'll have here is to watch the page. This means you will get notified whenever other users on the wiki make changes. So if you want to get notified, go ahead and check that. It is not checked by default to help on the email spam. And just a quick disclaimer about here. With copyrights, to make sure that you are not infringing on copyrights when you are creating content on the wiki. So we will go ahead and save those changes. So you can switch back and forth between the visual and the source editor to do the wiki markup language. Either one works. Now, one of the things that might be helpful for those who are not used to writing up wiki articles is to maybe look at an example of an existing one. So if we go to our wiki search and we search for an existing organization like G3 Ministries, so this article would be a good example of what a page should look like for an organization. And if we go to the source, we can see how it was sort of set up and the code for the info box that our editors had put in to give that helpful sidebar of information. We can just copy that. The rest is paragraphs we can write up, and it's not going to be relevant to Let's Church, so we'll just copy this info box set up and paste it here and clear out all of the fields, and then we'll replace it with fields that actually are relevant for Let's Church. So I think Let's Church was founded in 2023, and it's just a Christian media platform, so we'll just put Christianity there, and it will change the website URL. And for the founder, it would be Ken Powers. And when it is in these two brackets, it is referencing to an article on the wiki. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that we could reference articles on Wikipedia, and the way to do that most simply would be doing the two brackets and then Wikipedia, and then colon, and then the article name, line, and then display name. So in this instance, if we just made up a place like Ohio, and then did that, it would reference out the Wikipedia article for the state of Ohio. And then for the image, we can either reference an internally uploaded file, or we can go to Wikimedia Commons for an image and reference that out. So if you go to wikimedia.org, and you can see that they have a repository of files. This is the picture of the day. So if we get that link address, it looks like this. So that is the file name for this photo here, would be this long thing, and we could actually copy and paste that here if we wanted to reference that image into our article, and the system will try and see if the file name, I think, has a matching internally uploaded file first, but if it doesn't, it'll go out and actually check Wikimedia Commons, and sure enough, it'll pull this one up and it'll show that image. But we don't want to do that. We'd rather have the Let's Church logo here, so let's upload that. And I already have it handy, and you could write a little summary and select the license that makes the most sense, and then it will give you the file name, which would be this, and that is what we'll reference here. And it should pull that once we press Save Changes and we take a look at it. There we go. So now we have a logo here from the image that we uploaded or referenced from Wikimedia Commons. The other part of this article will need to be the actual content. So when we are writing content for an article, one of the things you'll want to do is go to the source and start making sections which look like these, encapsulated in equal signs. The more equal signs there are means it is lower down in the hierarchy of subsections. So if we wanted subsection, and then if we wanted another subsection below that, it would be 3, and then subsection. It would be encapsulated like that. So that defines the hierarchy, and there's not really a limit, I don't think. Maybe there is, but you can do 1, 2, 3, or 4, or however many levels of nesting you need. But most articles will likely just have it simple and keep with just having one equal sign to define each of the separate sections. And the references section is always going to need to be at the bottom. The references that are generated from the citations that we use will, which is this thing right here, will always append to the bottom. So that's where we'll want to keep that section. If we wanted to create other sections like external links, and we could do a list of those, bulleted list would be an asterisk. And then we could start putting in some URLs, and then we could also do a section for see also. Since this ministry is Dorean principle compliant, we can reference Dorean principle there. Would need to be in 2 brackets actually. And any other kinds of articles that we would want to do, etc., etc. So now let's take a look. There we go. So there we have our little about section. We have external links that would be relevant at the bottom, some relevant articles, and any references that we would append. And then as you'll see, notice on the wiki at times there are red links. These are broken links, links that go to pages that do not exist. So this article does not have any talk on the discussion page. That's why that's red. And also the founder, Ken Powers, is also red. So if we wanted to create one up for him, Ken Powers is a great guy. He really is. It'll now have an article for him. And when we go back, you can see it is no longer red. Now, if we wanted to reference something, so if we wanted to do a basic citation and we wanted to reference the Let's Church About page to reference as to how we got this info, we can just press cite, basic, and let's.church, and I think it's just /about. And it will create that little thingy there, and remember it will append those down at the bottom. So if we press save changes, you'll see that it is appended there. So whenever someone's in an article and clicks it, it'll take them there. And that is pretty much how you set up an article on the wiki. There is a lot more that we could go over, but I just wanted to get a basic structure fleshed out for you folks, and hopefully this was helpful.